another few seconds. Yeah. It's happening live. I request everyone to kindly switch off your mics. Right. And let me begin with the recording. Yes. Now over to you, Shishir sir.
Thank you, Subin sir. A very good morning to all of you. Welcome to the second webinar of LISSAH webinar series. We had a very fruitful session yesterday with a large number of participants. Today we are dealing with much more relevant topic, namely reshaping relationships post-pandemic impacts on families. We have two plenary sessions. The first session will be dealt by Mr. Jomon Varghese, educational consultant and social worker, safeguarding Medway Council, UK. The second session will be dealt by Mr. Jawad TP, clinical psychologist, Human Care Foundation, Calicut. Before we start the session, kindly ensure that your microphones are muted and please submit your queries in chat box. Now let me call upon Ms. Limina George, Assistant Professor, Department of Social Work, to welcome the online gathering.
Everyone, very good morning. The day of our LISSAH webinar series. CST, our founder and father, to our gathering, this webinar series. Welcome, Father. And now I would like to welcome Dr. Benny Joseph to this gathering. And now I would like to welcome hello. Hello.
Yes, thank you, Limina ma'am. Shishir sir. Shishir sir, I hope you can hear me.
Thank you, ma'am. Sorry for the technical issues. Now I invite Dr. Benny Joseph, Principal, LISSAH College, for the inaugural lectures of LISSAH webinar series, day 2.
Am I audible? Good morning and welcome. Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You're audible.
Respected keynote speaker, Mr. Joman Varghese, our director, Reverend Father Jos Melot Gucci, Dr. Vinci Abraham, Ms. Limina George, Ms. Sisayam George, delegates, faculty members, and dear students. The COVID-19 pandemic has reshaped our personal relationships in unprecedented ways, forcing us to live close together with some people and further apart from others. Life in lockdown has brought close, constant contact with our families and partners, but social distancing measures have isolated us from our friends and wider communities. Measures that have been taken in many countries to control the spread of coronavirus are having a disruptive effect on relationships in general and family relationships specifically. Families are reporting loss of community and freedom of movement in response to quarantine or lockdown measures. Other tangible losses include income, access to resources, and planned activities or celebrations. Compelling and heartbreaking stories of the challenges and suffering that families are experiencing engulf us. Individuals and families who are most vulnerable are particularly at risk. Lockdown or quarantine measures instituted in many countries have also invited vulnerability and risk with families. As a result of COVID-19 crisis, the support given to families who provide long-term care for ill parent, partner, or child is lost. Families with a child who requires specialized care and guidance now have to care for their child 24 hours a day without the outside guidance provided by medical, nursery, daycare, or special education services. Families who care for a father, mother, or partner with a serious illness now have to manage without the outside support. School closures have created a family environment where children are rarely allowed to leave the house and are confronted with vulnerabilities of the family members, addiction, aggression, and violence. All of these families and their interrelationships are often under great pressure as a result of stresses created by coronavirus pandemic. The webinar has provided an opportunity for discussing post-pandemic impacts on family. I appreciate the effort taken by the Social Science Department of LISSAH for arranging a webinar series. Hope today's webinar will be an enriching and fruitful one. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now let me invite Mr. Jomon Varghese to lead the first session. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much. Can someone please confirm that I am audible, please?
Yes, sir. You are.
Yes, sir. You are audible.
Right.
You may now
Okay.
share your screen.
Is my screen visible to everyone now? Okay, then. All right.
Yeah. Yeah, now it's perfect, sir.
Hello. Good morning to everyone. My name is Jomon. Thank you for inviting me to share my thoughts and views on the COVID-19 pandemic, which is actually something that we have never experienced before, and that is actually posing a big threat to the whole humanity as one race. So, and thank you to LISSAH, Social Work Department, for inviting me to today's webinar. Okay, let's just kick on. Okay, the learning objectives that I have kept in mind for today's webinar, there are two of them. One is to explore and understand the need of a new paradigm for understanding the challenges of the pandemic. Pandemic is obviously COVID-19 pandemic. And to reflect upon a particular kind of stress response as a new paradigm, as a new perspective that we can approach, that we can explore, that we can adopt to address the challenges of this pandemic. As you all know, we are facing a global pandemic. I live in UK, and as you all know, United Kingdom experienced a spike of the viruses infection and COVID-19 in the months of April, May, and June. I'm a social worker by profession, and I work with vulnerable people, both children and adults. And because of the nature of my job, I had to go out wearing PPE, personal protective equipment, visiting families, visiting vulnerable children, people who are in most need. And my partner, she works for the hospital which is close by, and she was working right in the ward where COVID-19 patients were treated. So and we personally experienced how challenging the situation was because of the nature of the jobs that we were in. We had to go out and reach out to the people that needed most of us. So the kind of guidelines that we were given on a daily basis, that was never seen before. And we were informed we are actually in a war emergency and you have to take these measures because this is something that we have never dealt with before. We're gonna float along as it comes. We're going to take it as it comes. So this is a global pandemic, and this is a situation that we are not all familiar with, and this is going to rewrite our history, I suppose. Rewrite our history, our economy, our lives, our relationships, the learning, the schools and universities and the job market. So this is something that we have never seen before. We haven't experienced this before. So, and what it does to everyone is to actually to make us all anxious about what's happening. You don't really know whether you are catching the virus if you go out shopping. You have to do shopping because you need to actually feed your family. You need to eat, and you have to go out. And when you go out, you don't know if the air is safe for you to move around, and that is actually really a stressful situation. When I say stress, as you can see, everyone experiences stress at some point in their life. Most probably every day in your life, you experience stress. The difference between stress and anxiety is that stress is a response to a particular threat in that particular situation. It is very specific. Stress is specific to the threat that you perceive in a situation. But anxiety is your inner reaction to this particular stress. So there is a cycle there. You see a threat in a situation and you think about ways to find out solution for the problem or the threat. And that becomes a stress for you because you will be stretched beyond your capacity to find a solution to the threat, to find a way out. And that is stress. But the inner reaction that you have to this particular experience of stretching beyond your capacity is anxiety. So they are related, they're correlated. As you can see on the slide here, stress is actually worrying in a tough situation. Stress is very much specific to a particular incident, a particular situation. And you may have several or separate and distinct causes for a particular situation that you are in and you find as threatening. And stress is usually the result of external pressures. The stress stimuli are mostly external. It doesn't come from within you, mostly. Okay. Oh, sorry. Is there an issue? Okay, I'll just go ahead. And stress is usually the result of an external pressure, and stress will go away when the problem is solved. But if you look at anxiety, it keeps you. It is there for a long duration. It is there for a long time. More than sort of for a couple of days, weeks, months. Say, for example, if I can think of an example, when you drive, say, for example, you passed your driving test and you were driving for the first time in your life, and you were in the car behind your wheel, happy that you got a driving license and you were driving, and you reach a traffic light, and for some other reason, the car that was behind you just came and hit you. And that is a stressful situation for you because you are a new driver, you're at a traffic light, you don't really know what to do. And you search for clutch and brake and accelerate, you don't know what's happening to you. And then you manage to actually pull your car to one of the sides of the parking bay, and you call your breakdown people, ask them to come, take you to the garage, and and the mechanics arrive, they take you to the workshop or whatever. So that is a stressful situation. And because you know how to deal with that stressful situation, the threat in that particular situation, you manage to solve the situation. You manage to solve that problem. But anxiety is, even after a couple of days, you get flashbacks. You can actually hear the bang that was heard when the car behind you hit your back, hit your boot. And you keep having memories of that. You feel the shake in your body. You feel that this is going to happen. You get tensed. You become anxious about, when you drive around, there is always a car going to hit behind you. And that is the difference between stress and anxiety. As I told you, stress can be a good thing, and so mostly it's a good thing, and it helps our bodies and brains to stay sharp and alert and ready to react to any surprises that life throws in your way. But chronic stress can wreak havoc, and that is linked to anxiety as well. And it can result in heart diseases, high blood pressure, and depression, and so on. The way you respond a stressful situation in your life is very much dependent on your personality. So our human anatomy has been built in such a way that you are able to perceive danger all the time. You are risk averse all the time. You are able to see the risk that is actually there, and the brain, prepares your body to respond to that particular stress. And mostly you can see, as you can see in the slide, it covers the fight or flight response that allows you to respond quickly to that particular risk that you're able to perceive. And when you're startled in front of a threat, acutely stressed, the fear center of the brain, called amygdala, activates our central stress response system. That's how you anatomically how you respond to a particular stress. As you know, human brain is a fantastic organ, and human brain is actually behind all these process. You are able to see, you are able to perceive a threat or a risk or a danger, and by the way you perceive, you perceive through your senses, five senses, by touch, by hearing, by taste, and so on. And when you receive, when you're actually able to see something that is in front of you, for example, you're going for a walk, and you're going for a morning walk, and you are seeing a dog running to you, and this dog is not familiar to you, so you don't know if the dog is coming to you, bite you or not. And you are able to see the dog, and you hear the dog is able to actually bark at you. So you see and you hear, and these messages get passed to your brain, and 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 the neuron cells in your brain processes information, and they would say, well, actually, if a dog is coming to you running, without showing any friendly nature, there is a highly it is highly likely that it is going to bite you. Probably you have to get out of the way, or threaten the dog so that it runs back. So human brain is the most complex structure, and this happens in a flash of seconds, and this is how your brain responds to stress. In understanding, how human brain is tuned biologically, by way of millions of years of evolution, how human brain is tuned to respond to these threats that we perceive, to the risks that we face on a daily life. I think it's good to watch a video. Let's all watch this small video. Sorry, can I please ask, is the audio audible to everyone from the video? Hello.
Sir, we
No, sir.
can't hear. No, sir.
Is
Please unmute your.
okay? All right, I will unmute. Hello, was that audible?
So that's not yet. So that's not audible yet.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
can you
it
hear
is
us?
audible. Yeah.
So you have to connect the audio of your computer next to the share screen.
Sir, can you hear me? Am I audible now?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay. Dear friends, the video was as actually as you saw on the video. That is how we are biologically tuned to respond to the stressful situation that we find ourselves in. And when we are faced with a threat or a stressful situation in our life, as you can see on the slide, there are four different types of responses that you are able to adopt. One is fight. Okay, say for example, you see threat, and you get ready to fight because you have to get rid of that problem. You have to you have to solve that problem by fighting it. You get your adrenaline pumped up, and you get your fist ready, and you're ready to fight. I'm talking about the feelings level thing here. And the other response could be, you realize that your enemy or the threat is more powerful and stronger than you, and the only way you can manage that situation is just by escaping, by fleeing away. And the next response could be, because you don't really know what's going on, and you feel you are completely frozen, you're stuck, you don't know what to do, you don't know how to solve that situation, and you are stuck. Yeah. And probably the fourth response could be a better option here, because we cannot fight this virus the way we have for other viruses that we have had in the humanity's history. We cannot fly away, we cannot flee from this virus. We cannot just escape from the challenges that this virus throws at our lives. And there is no point in just being frozen in front of this virus, not knowing what to do. I think you are able to see, if you actually closely monitor the strategies that different nations in this world have adopted to respond to this virus. You can actually see elements of fight there, elements of flight there, elements of freeze there. But actually, what we need to make sure here is actually, are we able to face this? Are we able to face this? When we say face, you are not repelling it, you are not disengaging it, or you don't feel detached from it. You are able to engage. When you are able to engage, you are able to understand what this virus is, and you are able to understand the nuance of the challenges that it throws at our lives, throws at our economy, throws at our job market, throws at our personal lives, family lives, relationships. So you are able to understand and develop insights into the threats. When you understand something, when you are able to develop insights into what is in front of you, then you are able to face it. Unless and otherwise we realize how it is impacting on our lives, we wouldn't be able to do that. And okay, I said we have to face this, or you have to face this, because there is no other way. The other three responses wouldn't be as good as the fourth response, which is facing this threat. When you are facing this threat, I think what we need to believe here is that we are not alone. You are not alone. I am not alone. That is where I would really like to bring in the notion of objective psyche, which was explained by the famous psychologist Carl Jung. As you can see, objective psyche refers to the idea that a segment of the deepest unconscious mind is genetically inherited and is not shaped by personal experiences. And I understand, I'm talking to a group of people, probably across the nation, and you may not have heard about Carl Jung, but I would highly recommend that you read something about objective psyche, or you may not agree with me in relation to objective psyche or the notion of collective unconsciousness here. But what I'm trying to say is, there is something that is common to human race. Something. For example, let's take the example of two persons, could be man and man, man and woman, could be two people forming a relationship. It can be friendship, it can be marriage, wedding, anything. When two people come together, start a positive, happy relationship, not arguing, not shouting, not fighting with each other, then that union is always a happy union. Wherever you are, whether you are in America, whether you are in Europe, whether you are in India, China, Australia, that a positive union of two people coming together is always happy. And sometimes there will be music, sometimes there will be dance. And you can see that, say, for example, take the example of wedding. So where does that notion of I have to be happy because I'm actually forming a friendship with one of my acquaintances? Where does that notion come from? And why all cultures, all human beings on earth think that this is something really positive when you form a relationship? That is exactly an example, a crude example of objective psyche, I would say. So according to Jung's teachings, the objective psyche is common to all human beings and is responsible for a number of deep-seated beliefs and instincts such as spirituality, sexual behavior, and life and death instincts. So when when you and me, or the whole human race, are able to, or are trying to face this danger of COVID-19 pandemic, then I think what we need to realize that we are not alone in this battle. We are not alone in this situation. The whole humanity is just facing this reality, is facing the threats on different levels with the different severities. But when you are able to believe that humanity has this ability to develop something that is common to everyone, that is where we need to actually focus on. You are not alone. Whether you live in Calicut, Kerala, India, or whether you live anywhere in this world, you are affected by this COVID-19 pandemic. And the way you respond to that stress, the way you respond to that that threat in your life, because everyone, mostly all human beings on earth, have heard about this COVID-19. Almost everyone. I think it's a topic of daily conversation that we have in our family households. Everyone is affected. So the way you respond to this threat, as you can see, there can be 3 different stages of stress response. One is the micro level response. When I say micro level response, is actually how you understand and how you fight the threats of this COVID-19 pandemic in your personal life, in your own life. And you are able to develop insights into the threats and challenges of this COVID-19 pandemic. Then you are facing, you're not fighting it, you are not fleeing away from it, or you don't get frozen in front of this, you are facing it on a personal basis. And when people who have developed insights into this pandemic, the threats of this pandemic, come together and form a society, form a group, and that is actually a meso level response to this threat. And as you can actually see on the slide, when different groups of this meso level response, means people who are able to actually form this meso level response come together, form a larger group that can be called as a macro response to this threat. I think when we say objective psyche, as Carl Jung put it that way, it doesn't take any responsibility from you as a person. Objective psyche becomes meaningful only when you are able to balance it with the notion of subjectivity. Subjectivity can be defined in various ways, but the one I really liked is the one I have shown on the slide here. As you can see, subjectivity is your capacity as a person, as an interdependent agent who determines his or her own thoughts and actions. I think the notion of interdependence needs a little bit more exploration there. When I think human beings, pass from different stages of, dependency in their lives all the time. You can see that in personal relationships. You can see that in physical development. So let's take an example of physical development. When you were a baby, you were completely dependent on your parents, on your carers. What you were able to do is just lay on your back and cry if you felt hungry, and cry if the nappy needed changing. So you were completely dependent on your parents when you were a baby, when you were a child. But when you become a teenager and you are able to see life from a slightly different point of view, and you begin to claim your independence. You begin to say to mom and dad, oh dad, I think your value system is not really the one that I would really like to follow, and that is where you claim your independence. But that doesn't stop there. When people who are independent are able to come together and act for something, or has that ability, or able to develop that capacity, that is called interdependence. So you move from dependency to independency, and you become interdependent. And the aspect of agent here is not any FBI or M15 agent here. It's your capacity to act upon something. That is in philosophical terms. So subjectivity is your capacity as a person, as an interdependent agent, to determine your own thoughts and actions. And to put it in simple terms, you are able to write your own story. The notion of subjectivity actually helps us to understand and helps us to actually look into our own personalities in a slightly deeper way. You can understand personality from hundreds of thousands of ways. There are various personality theories out there, but the one that I really like is the relationship between memories that you have, the memories that you have formed. I don't know how old you are. You might be 21, you might be 40, you might be 50 years old, but you all have memories. You have long-term memories, you have short-term memories, and the way you are, the way you respond to a particular situation in life is very much dependent on your personality, and your personality is some way defined by, or some way impacted upon by, your memories. And where does your memory come from? Your memories come from individual life situations, probably. And I'm talking about memory in simpler terms here. I'm not going into the nuances of academic nuances of what is memory and how is it being formed. I would really like to focus on the sensory perception and the message that that the nerve fibers are able to carry to your brain, and the neurons, they're able to interact between each other, and they form memories. And the video that we are going to watch is an extract from the video from the animation movie Inside Out. And I think this is a really powerful way of understanding the relationship between personality, memories, and stress response. Let's watch it. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. It's clear. It's clear.
Thank you. So apologize for that. I think there is a technical issue. We are not able to actually, the audio was not audible, I think. Well, actually, what in this video I wanted to show you was actually Riley, as you may have seen in the video, how Riley develops, her own personality, by way of, the experiences that she had in her life, and the way she, stored all those memories, and how some of the memories become core memories, in her life, and that defined her as a person. And this aspect, when you look at the fact that you are a person who is capable of writing your own story. When I say you are interdependent, you are not dependent, you are not completely independent, you are interdependent, and that is where this relational aspect comes in. You cannot face this, you cannot address the challenges of this virus on your own. You have to form, or you have to understand that the address this virus, address to the situation that the virus throws you in, virus puts you in, can be addressed only by way of forming a trusting relationship between nations, trusting relationship between people. That is where we will have to actually revisit and rewrite the notion of what defines you as a person, what defines you as belonging to one particular culture, what defines you as belonging to one particular nation. That is where all these defining things has to go away, and that is where you should be able to listen to the objective psyche, the collective unconsciousness, as Carl Jung has dreamt of, and listen to that objective psyche. And what does it tell you? What does humanity has to listen to at this moment is something that is totally, that it hasn't happened before. Even when we were in world wars, the whole world was actually completely thrown out of balance in economy, psychologically, and in human lives as well. But and there were some parts of the world that was not affected by world war, that. But this virus has reached nook and corner of, it has gone to every part of the world. So when you as a person, when you as an interdependent agent, when you are able to actually write your own story, not letting the virus write what you should be doing now, you are able to understand the virus. You are able to understand the threats that virus poses before you, and you are able to face it. And you develop strategies to face it. And that is where we need to know how we can do that. And I think the only way we can do it is by coming together as one group of people. Whether you are in India or America or Europe or Australia, anywhere, or Africa, anywhere in this world, that is where we need to come together and fight this. And actually, sorry, apologies, I shouldn't be using the term fight here. That is how you face the threats of this virus. And I'm just trying to summarize what I have been trying to communicate with you, what I have been trying to discuss with you. We are faced with a virus, and we are faced with the threats of this virus that we are not familiar with. We don't know how this is impacting on our lives. We don't really know how this is going to affect our human biology. We don't really know how this is going to rewrite the human history. And in this chaos, in this confusion, I think the human being, the human race can actually take control of, by developing insights into what is happening, around you, what is happening, across the world, across nations today. And that ability, that your ability on a personal level, on a meso level, on a macro level, the ability that human race possess to address these kinds of threats, that was proven in the history. So what we need to do here is actually to understand the importance of a relational response to this virus. because I'm just going back to where I started. I started by saying how I felt challenged in my job as a social worker, because I had to go out wearing PPE, going out to the people that needed listening, that needed support, that needed help. And I was right there. And I wasn't faced by the fact that, okay, I might be infected, I might get infected. What really helped me move forward was the fact that, I knew that I could make a difference. I would be able to make a difference to that person I'm able to talk to when I go out. And I would be able to make a difference in the lives of that particular child when I visit him or her in her school or in her home, and make arrangements for all the support that the child needs. So that really kept me moving ahead, rather than just being home or taking any annual leaves, or getting furloughed by government guidelines. I think that is where we need to actually human beings as a whole has to come together, understand what everyone can do and what the society can do to address the risk of this virus and the threats that the viruses pose on our lives, lives on our lives, and our society, and probably the entire human race. And as you know, we are not able to say whether we are in the post-pandemic stage. Are we able to say? I don't really know. Nobody knows if there is going to be one more wave coming up. Nobody knows how that second wave or third wave would look like, because this is a virus that keeps, updating itself, so to say. So we are right in the middle of this, we are right in the eye of this, storm. We are right in the middle of it, and we have to. There is no other way but face it. And remember, when you try to face it, we have to understand, we have to acknowledge, we have to admit this is a stress response. This is a response to a particular threat in our lives, in our society, in the world. And the best way to address that threat is by facing it. And let's face it as one big humanity. Try to keep in mind there is objective psyche there, and we have a long, long, long way to go. I think we are all together in this. Thank you. I think, I don't know if I have kept to the time. I just spoke. So I don't know if I have time for, interacting with you, but I'm more than happy to do that. Over to the facilitators now. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And now it's time for discussion. You can submit your queries in the chat box. We haven't received any. It's the time for discussion. You can submit your queries in the chat box. We haven't received any questions yet.
It doesn't really have to be. It doesn't really have to be any queries. It can be your experience and the way you think you are able to respond to this in a stressful situation. It doesn't really have to be query. It can be, sharing of experience as well.
I think you can raise your hands in the platform. We'll facilitate the discussion.
Shishir sir, I hope you can listen to me.
Yes.
Anakha Chandran has raised her hand. Can I unmute her?
Yeah, sure.
Sure, fine. Okay, Anakha, I am trying to unmute you. You might be getting a pop-up there. Please click on it. Yeah, fine. Noran Nosh is now unmuted. You may speak now.
Hi, sir.
Hello. Hello. Hi, Nurin.
So I want to ask you that what, as social workers, what can we do at the present scenario, at the present situation, to cope or fight with this virus?
That's a really good question. Thank you so much, Nurun. I think my first sort of the thing that comes to my mind first is go back to the basics. Go back to the basics of social work. Social work started as intensive casework. If you can actually go back and have a look at the history of social work, because I worked as a volunteer as well. I used to work for Royal Voluntary Responders System in UK in April and May. I don't do it now because I'm back to work. And what I have seen when I worked as a volunteer to address the threats of this virus in the community, I was actually allocated to talk to people over phone because we were not able to visit people. And in the UK, there are thousands of people, thousands of elderly who live in care homes and nursing homes, and because of the social distancing and lockdown, their family members could not visit them, and they just wanted to talk to someone. And when I actually did call these people and talk to them, they didn't mind if I spoke with a foreign accent. They didn't mind if I did really listen to them, but they were so happy that they could listen to a human voice. So I think that is what is more important here. Let's get back to the basics of social work. Let's think about casework. Let's think about, we can't think about group work, because if you're going to do group work, then you'll have to adhere to the social distancing measures. So I would say case working is actually the way could be one of the best ways to address the challenges of this virus. And when you're faced with these kinds of unfamiliar threats, and that is where the best comes out of you. The best, when if you're a social worker, that is the best thing that comes out of you, because you are stretched beyond your capacity. And when you're stretched beyond your capacity, the best comes out, and that's my experience as well. And I think your teachers would agree with me, the fact that when you're stretched beyond your capacity, the best comes out. So let's get back to the basic, the very, very basic fundamental fundamental means of social work, which is casework. That would be my advice. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So we have a question from PS Lenin Anthony. His question is, how do we help our seniors who are very frightened of COVID?
Okay, that's so I understand by seniors he means elderly, probably those who are aged 60 and above. That's a really, really simple but very difficult question. See, the only way, I think, what I have done, okay, to be honest with you, I don't have a clear answer for that. Okay, but what I can tell you is about what I have done when I have spoken, as I have told you, when I have spoken to, elderly people over the phone as a volunteer. What I have done is actually, I listened to their worries, and I listened to their, their personal lives, I would say. And I didn't do any counseling with them. I just listened to them, and I tried to understand, what that particular person had as the most important worry in his own her life at that moment. That could be, so I remember I spoke to, a man who was in his 80s, and his date of birth was going to be 27th of June. And he was so anxious that he kept asking me, Joman, do you think I would be able to see my grandchildren on my birthday? Because that is when I get to see them. So that was the biggest worry he had when he spoke with me. And I said, I'll find out what I can do for you. I'll find out, where your grandchildren live, and I'll definitely make contact with them, and I'll definitely arrange, for, some form of contact between you and your grandparents on your birthday. I think you will have to actually listen to them and try to understand try to understand the person's, issue or the biggest worry at that moment, and maybe have a specific plan, have a specific advice, have a specific response to that particular moment. And I think that is the only way we can help our seniors to understand. I think that is one of the ways to help them make sense of the particular nature of this threat that we are facing. I hope I know I didn't answer that question, but I think I have given some ideas for everyone to think of.
Thank you, sir. We have one more question from Deborah Lang. The question is, Mike, what was your first reaction when you have to approach people to help and talk to? Is there any fear in you, and what are the reactions of others who meet you? Are they refused or are they open? Because people are very much fear of this pandemic.
Thank you for that question. That is a very sensible question, I would say. When as part of my job, I had to go out and visit, children and families that I work with, and that is part of my job. And that is a statutory responsibility I have as a safeguarding social worker working in the UK. And when I do that, I had to wear, protective equipments. And before I do the home visit, I explain in detail to them that, I will be coming, but I will be maintaining social distancing. I will have all the personal protective equipments, and I will try to keep myself safe. I will have hand sanitizer with me. So I think I haven't had any response from anyone saying, well, I don't want you to visit my family home because of this virus. I think if you are able to help and understand, and I think if you are able to help others understand how we can actually prevent, the spread, community spread or personal spread, how we can prevent that spread. If you're able to help others understand the measures that you can take, that you are able to take to address that spread, I think people would be able to get rid of their fear. That's not fear, is it? That's definitely not fear. That is anxiety. And there's a difference between fear and anxiety. Fear has a definite object. Say, for example, you see a snake and you get frightened of the snake, but you see a rope which looks like a snake, and because it is weaving, you mistake that for a snake and you get anxious. So, I think what is more important here is to understand the difference between, or it's your ability as a social worker to understand, is the person frightened of something or is the person anxious of something? Then you try to act accordingly. That's what I would say. What I have done is I have explained to the people that I was going to visit of the measures that I was taking to make sure that I'm taking all the measures in place to prevent spread, and people were happy to engage with me.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. We have a few more questions. A question from Ms. Aparna. How can we help the disabled or mentally challenged one from home due to lockdown and social distancing?
Thank you, Aparna, for that question. Again, that is very much specific, isn't it? The way people with challenging needs and people with different abilities, I don't know if you can call them disabled people. Where I work, we call them disabled because that is actually a statutory term, but I don't know if you can call them disabled people. They are people with additional needs, I would say. Again, my response would be you will have to take it case by case specific. You will have to understand the needs of that particular individual. And because of the aspect of additional needs coming in here, maybe you will have to take sort of extra measures for preventing spread. And something that I have always experienced as a social worker, that I have always made sure, is the way I relate to people, is the way, is what you bring as a person into the people's lives that you work with. That is what is more important. Because when you are a social worker, you make yourself, yourself is one of the tools that you use as a social worker. Your presence in the family home, your presence when you talk to someone. And if you know, as a professional social worker, if you know how to understand the needs of that particular individual with additional needs, then you will be able to take extra measures for preventing spread when you are doing any form of intervention to support that person with additional needs, I would say. So, and that is very case specific, isn't it? If it is a physical, sort of physical disability, then accordingly you will have to take measures that is appropriate for that. But if it is something, if it is an invisible disability, like if if a person is experiencing some form of emotional disturbance or some form of mental health challenges, then that is invisible disability, I would. So it's your ability to understand the specificities of the particular person's additional needs and making sure that you are taking adequate measures to address the risks.
Thank
I
you,
don't
sir. We have a question from Renju. Sir, do you think counseling itself would help in the decrease of PTSD in the upcoming scenario? Are we really trained to wipe out these situations in future?
Okay, I can see there are two questions there. Is counseling a good tool? I would say fantastic. Yes, definitely, especially telephone counseling or virtual counseling. You can make use of social media, different platforms of social media to make sure that you find out creative ways of reaching out to people, creative ways of going beyond this conventional means of offering counseling. Is actually the best, one of the best ways to address this on an interpersonal relationship. The second question, are we equipped? I think we are, and I would really like to be optimistic there, because I have never used social media in my life as I have used in the months of April and May, especially in my volunteering and in my job. Especially because I work in a statutory setting and I have limitations when I use my social media, but we were advised to make use of social media in a creative way, unconventional way, and we did it. And that is how we reached out to people who wanted to talk and who wanted to listen to human voices, who wanted to make sure that people are out there for them. Of course, counseling is a really good, powerful tool you can use. And the next question, are we equipped? I think we have got all the potential right equipments to address the aspects of PTSD. But it's your capacity, it's your ability that you possess as an interdependent agent or professional social worker.
Thank you, sir. Dr. K. Shivakumar has asked you to suggest some of the specific skills required for social workers while facing this pandemic situation.
Skills. Okay. Again, I would like to humbly reiterate importance of casework, because that is something. Casework is something that when you become a professional social worker, you most of the time you end up champion of MDT, I would say. MDT is multidisciplinary team. You become one of the best organizers. You're able to organize maybe 20 different kinds of professions. You are able to write care plans. You are able to organize things. You become a fantastic organizer. that doesn't work in this pandemic. That does not work in this pandemic at all. Of course, if it works in a different way. But what I would say, what I really like to remind my young brothers and sisters and my friends in social work department and a social work career, and my friends in social work career, is go back to the basics of casework. Read about casework. Chisel the skills that you have an effective caseworker. Think about your own self as because when you actually focus on casework, and when you try to enhance your skill as caseworker, then you are able to look into your own lives and make changes in your lives first, and that is really important. Say, for example, that is where you would come across, say, let's take an example of transference here. Okay, when you experience a transference in your casework, how do you deal with it? How do you make use of supervisory support when you experience transference? And what skills you have to address and to make use of that transference in a positive way? How do you address it? And these are the things I think, at the moment, to address the risk and to address the challenges of this COVID-19 pandemic and the potential, post-pandemic PTSD. I think, my advice, my request would be, go back to the basics of casework, read about casework, find out different ways of making use of different tools of casework, and try to reach out to people that need you most. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Rashwin Matthew has raised a question. In India, there are not many platforms for social workers to be part of psychosocial counseling. In this context, how can we reach out to people who are affected by COVID-19? Any ideas to collaborate with government for the same?
Of course, my first response would be, why not? Why not? If see, no country, no nation in this world had been prepared for this virus. Are we? No, we are right in the middle of it. You and I are having this discussion, having this webinar right in the middle of this danger. This is happening out there now. It is like having a live kind of experience. So my response would be, why not? Just make use of all the potential possible platforms out there. And if the platforms are there, just make things happen. And that's what social workers do. Whether you are a caseworker, whether you do in a group work, we make things happen in this world. Whether you call yourself as a social worker or as a psychosocial counselor, don't know, but I'm a social worker. I'm a professional social worker, and what defines me is my sense of self as a social worker in my job. And I try to make things happen in my life and in people's lives. So we are in the middle of the situation. We don't know what's happening. We don't really know what are the best strategies out there. So my response would be, make use, just unleash the power of your creativity and go beyond the conventional boundaries and definements of this title of social work, or psychosocial counselor or anything. Just make use of anything that comes your way, because we are actually in a warlike situation, and anything is welcome as a professional, as a personal. And something that I have learned in volunteering with Royal Responders Group is what you bring to that particular moment, that particular situation as a person is and that is what is more important. Rather than waiting for something to happen, rather than waiting for all the external things to happen for you to work, it is always good to actually, go into that particular situation with something in your hand. Maybe your ability to listen to people, active listening, and that's what I would say. Anything is welcome. And if things are not there, if platforms are then not there, just make things happen. And that's what we do, and that's we are really good at doing, we social workers. Thank you.
Hello.
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 Yes, ma'am.
Hello.
Please.
Yeah, Mr. Jomon, I would like to ask a question regarding counseling. regarding counseling, do you think only social workers alone can give the counseling? Because as we are working in a school industry, education industry, and as an individual person, the has a responsibility to give counseling for the children, right? Because for the betterment of them. But what happens here is, majority of the teachers, they are not willing to counsel the children, and they are taking them to the counselor. But there's no use of taking the kids to the counselor, because the same is happening there. I mean, we couldn't see any changes in that. Can individual person can take responsibility, and in whatever ways they know, can give counseling and do the betterment for the kids?
That's a really, really good point you are making. And I have always, thought in similar lines. And I'm really happy someone actually, voiced that at the webinar. I think, and I have always, told my colleagues, because as a social worker, I work in close liaison with school education psychologists all the time in my profession. And the difference that I have seen is in the professionals, in the colleagues that I work with, especially from educational setting, is, if they have done some training in relation to counseling, because counseling is not everyone's cup of tea, is it? No. You need to have an innate sort of nature to be able to listen to people, to be able to actively listen to people. And that is what is actually the foundation and the fundamental principle of counseling, I would say. Yes, of course, anyone who is working with children and working with vulnerable people should be able to offer counseling, should be able to offer counseling. I'm not talking about therapeutic counseling here. I'm talking about, basic counseling. And basic counseling skills should be made mandatory for anyone who works with children, especially in educational setting or in any setting. If you're working with children and if you're working with vulnerable people with additional needs, I think the time has come now for us to make this as a mandatory requirement. Because when you are a teacher, you have direct contact with children, and when you work in an adult social care setting, you have direct contact with them. And things don't work the way. Say, for example, you may have a care plan when you work with an elderly man, and you may have a care plan in front of you, based on an assessment, psychosocial assessment, psychological, physical assessment. You may have a care plan in front of you. But what really matters is how you understand that person, how you are able to, locate that person in that situation, and the only way you can do that is by active listening. And active listening is actually a fundamental sort of principle of counseling. So, I wholeheartedly agree with you. Anyone who has direct contact on a regular basis with children and, vulnerable adults need to have, some form of counseling training. I hope you would agree with me. I hope everyone would agree with me on this point.
Thank you, sir. We have certain time constraints, so we are hereby concluding the first session. May I now call upon Ms. Sisa George to deliver the vote of thanks. Sorry, we have some technical issues. Let me call upon Vinci Abraham, Dr. Vinci Abraham, our HOD, to deliver the vote of thanks.
Good afternoon to all. Very respected dignitary of the day. I would like to thank Mr. Joman Verghese for joining us for this for his wonderful insight. Thank you for being with us on this platform, sir. I would also like to thank our college management and our technical team, as well as all the dignitaries who have joined us today with us. Thanks to all once again. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for giving me an opportunity to interact with everyone, and best wishes to everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. It was a great opportunity for us to listen to you. With this, we end up the first session. Now, may I call upon Mr. Rijo Joseph, Assistant Professor, Department of Social Work, LISSAH, to introduce the keynote speaker for the session 2.
A very good afternoon to all. Beloved Mr. T.P. Jawad, the key speaker of the session, dignitaries and dear audience. This is to welcome you all to the plenary session, Reshaping Relationships Post-Pandemic Impact on Family, led by Mr. T.P. Jawad, HOD and Consultant, Department of Clinical Psychology at Human Care Foundation, Calicut. Given the most chaotic pandemic of our generation, coping up with the sudden shift has been the most challenging factor of our current times. The following plenary session would focus on family perspectives of the post-pandemic period. Mr. T.P. Jawad, the key speaker of the session, is currently a doctoral research fellow at Department of Clinical Psychology, Institute of Human Behavior and Allied Science, Delhi, and also simultaneously he serves as the HOD and Consultant Clinical Psychologist, Human Care Foundation at Calicut. He is positioned in the field as a registered clinical psychologist, a resource person, and a faculty with membership in initiations like Junior Chamber International, Associations for Solution-Focused Practices in India, and so on. He has completed his MPhil in Clinical Psychology at Swikar Academy of Rehabilitation Science at Secunderabad. He has successfully completed supervised training on several branches of psychology, leading him to a specialist in psychotherapy and psychological assessment and rehabilitation. With former training experiences like mental health training, adolescence empowerment training, women empowerment training, and so on in the national and international platforms, I would like to acknowledge our privilege in having you as the most appropriate speaker for this session. Dear sir, I would like to welcome you to the plenary session with immense pleasure and gratitude on behalf of the staffs, management, and students of Little Flower Institute of Social Science and Health. And also, at this time, I would like to welcome all the colleagues, staffs, students, and all other participants to this session. Have a nice time, and thank you.
Thank you, Rijo sir. Now I invite Mr. Jawad TP to lead the second session of the topic, Reshaping Relationships Post-Pandemic Impacts on Family. Sir, please.
Okay, good afternoon. Audible? Is it audible?
Yes, sir.
It's okay, fine, good. Thank you for the opportunity, and we don't have much time to discuss the topic, and we all in pandemic conditions, and it's very difficult to interact with others and meet with others, and we feel difficulty to be with others. So this is a condition. I don't want, even without discussing, without talking, we can understand, or we are experiencing the situations. And every day we are experiencing the situations, and which will affect the entire system, entire world, and somehow some part of the world has been reduced the burden, and some is on the way to reduce. But still we would like to know about the kind of issues which is affecting our society, relationship, and interactions. And we all know about that the human being is a social animals. We can say that we are a social animals, and we need a social interactions and social connections. We all that is our even after the air we need a social connections. So without social connections, without social contact, without social intimidation, how we can survive? this is happening in the world now, and we are going to talk about the brief about the reshaping the relationship uh, after pandemic or during pandemic time, especially when we talk about the family and relationship and other things. I can share my thoughts and experience with you, and we need to develop the kind of things to manage the coming issues. So this is the way we are going to deal with that. Can you change the slide number 1, please? Okay, this is the one important things when we talk about the COVID-19. This is not affecting the separate area. We can say that it's affecting the all over world in all the areas. So it has its own implication. The main thing is the uncertainty. The uncertainty is making to feel somewhat numbness, and somewhat we cannot think further, we cannot predict the future. That is the issue we are facing. We don't know about that. When is our educational institutions are going to open, when is the exam is going to happen, and what about the condition of my job, what is the condition of my my area is going to develop, or what are the drawback is going to happen after this COVID and all. We all know about that. The next is pandemic has changed everything we know, particularly about how we remain socially connected. Can you change that the second slide? Okay, pandemic, we cannot say in one particular area it has an impact. Impact is everywhere. We can say that impact is everywhere. We can see that impact. If you check in somewhere, if you are concentrating one area, if you focus in one area, you can say that that is the depth of the issues people are facing, the areas are facing. When we comparing with those areas, we cannot compare. Actually, when we comparing with the issue with even that some cultural people are more affecting and some are not affecting, this is not, we can say like that. Actually, when we think about this area, we can make it like that, the whole area affecting in different way. That is why we need to think about the all areas, and pandemic stress, the pressure of working from home, the main core areas we already identified. We can understand that is in a pandemic stress, the pressure of working in we can pressure of working from home. We are not familiar with the working from home. That is another issue we are facing in school closures. School closures means people are closing means we don't like to close something. So the schools are closed now. Social isolation, we are compelled to isolate ourselves. When we think about it, we are getting proper food and other things, still we cannot tolerate with the social isolations. We need to meet people, we need to talk with people. Have caused rise in abusive behaviors in family. We can say that kind of issues are made in our family. Please change that slide, and we can understand that there are an abusive behaviors happen in the family. We already hear about that, the kind of issue. Mainly we can see that the people are affecting like that. Actually, some people have a problem in the divorce rate increased, breakup has been increased, and other areas in domestic violence are there. In when we talk about that in family, why this family issues is rising when this epidemic is happening, that we need to think and we need to understand what is the reason. Even the families are together, and we are getting more time. We are not we are getting much time together, and we can spend more time. Still, what is happening in the family? That is the things we need to understand, we need to identify. Can you change slide? This is a crisis reveals how our become homes, offices, and community need to respond in rapidly changing reality. We cannot forget the reality. We cannot hide the reality. The reality is there. we need to keep safe, we need to make a kind of social distancing, and all the things we need to follow. But still, how we can connect with the family, and how we can hold the family, how we can make a kind of empowerment in family, that is the things. Even we are a social scientist, we need to think, and we need to make a kind of plan and development for the family. Otherwise, after this pandemic, we all need to work on the family management and relationship management. Even after a period of time, we feel like that we will feel difficulty to interact with others. Even we can understand that when you talk about yourself, we can understand that actually we all experiencing like that. Even when you go to the hostel and you are staying long period there, after coming to your home time, you feel difficulty to interact with others. That is a very simple examples. Even if you go somewhere in, I have seen many clients, they have gone to jail, and they were there in the jail. After that releasing from the jail, they feel difficulty to interact with others. And other things I have seen in mental health patients, they have admitted in the mental health centers 6 months to 1 year. After that, they are releasing and discharging from the hospital. They feel they will have a kind of problem to mingle with others, socializing with others. They can socialize with others, but they still feel difficulty to face others and talk with others. This is the all things happening in all relationship, not in the family. We can see in every relationship. That is the one thing. Even can you change the slide? And the pandemic has given rise to a steep rise in domestic dispute. We can see it both way. Even one way we can say that the pandemic has been raised a steep rise in domestic dispute, even domestic violence. Even people are there together, then that is made some dispute, problems and issues. The same time, how the lockdown is cementing the relationship and bringing family together. There were two poles are there. Actually, two poles are there. When people are together and they be with them and making some issues, the same way the relationship is bonding and making so harmony with the family. Why this is both things happening with the same problem? Even that we need to understand. There are a psychological impact are there that we are going to discuss in the detail. We can understand that why this is happening in the family, that I will talk. That is the important proximity and relationship. We need to discuss about the proximity and relationship, that we will discuss. Can you change the slide? Can you change? Okay, thank you. That is a feeling in this period. We feeling more appreciative of your partner than before. There are a survey was reported after this pandemic and this COVID-19. The partners are feeling more appreciative of their partners. They're thinking about that, even they are in the home and they're understanding and watching the things the partners are doing there, and they're really appreciating. This is happening in the family now. And posing future relationship, that is an uncertainty. They don't know when they can go out, and when they can go for a picnic, and when they can go to have a kind of celebrations. This is the uncertainty. There's a posing future of relationship. Even in relationship, there are layers are there. Even I am in the second layer, I need to step to up the second or third, fourth layer. So I may not be knowing about that, when I can enter when I can ladder to that stage. Another important thing is feeling grateful about relationship. That is a positive things is happening. I feel about that. Even in the lonely feeling, in the lonely world, I have some relatives are there, some close friends are there, some even my families are there, my wife are there, my children are there. This is a kind of gratefulness we will have in this pandemic period. And even most of the surveys reported you are closer than ever. Sometimes they reported that when you compare with the previous time, you feel more closer with your partner, and children's and all. That is the one area of the developments. Another issues, can you change the slide? In couple relationship and family relationship, we can see many other issues. People feeling more or less feeling of connected. Even parents are there, children are there, there is no schools, but still facing the problems of feeling of less connected and self isolations and other things. If I am in the home also, I feel difficulty to more attached with more connected with the people, and I am keeping some distance because usually I am getting the information news regarding that you keep distance like that. That is why I cannot closely mingle with my partner, my siblings and my children. This is the self isolation difficulties are there. Another social disconnections. If you go and meet someone, whenever you feel to meet someone, you are going and meeting with the people and talking with the people and understanding and hugging and giving shake hand to the person. This is not happening. We feel like that I don't have any connections. So this is the, even when we talk about that, I feel that my self-esteem is related to the connection with others. When you talk with others, the people will say, I know this person, I meet this person, and I had a good contact with these persons, and usually we will have a good kind of engagement and celebrations. We will drink together, we will go for a trip together. This is the way we will make it. This is not happening. That is another issues. And COVID-19 and workplace. Even we people are in all, we all have a good time in the workplace. We all people are going there and meeting our colleagues and having interactions, communications, have a chit chat and discussion, fun and everything. This is not happening. Even if you have any problem in your family, what is happening after you reaching your this kind of workplace, you feel more comfort, you can make a more talk with the persons, colleagues, friends, and you can reduce your issues. But that is not happening during this period. Another thing, restrictions on people relationship. I myself restricting people to meet. Even one person is coming and asking to meet me, and I'm straight away going to talk about that. Please, we can meet later. In this time is not apt now. We can think after some time. This is the way I am postponing the meeting with the people. That is another things. And domestic violence it's happening, and divorce rates increased. Even after that, even now we all know about that the court is not open now, but after opening the court, there should be a number of divorce rates will be there. Can you change the slide? And can you please? Okay. Reshaped relationship. We all know about the reshape has been happened. Has been happened means it's there. Even we will have a kind of insight about our relationship, and we will have a we had some misconcept about the relationship that has been changed, and we will have a realization about that. I can say as a father, I can mark out of 100, I can mark a 90. After the pandemic, I realized that I cannot give a 90 mark. I can give only 80 or 70. Even that is the way I will have a kind of realization. And new challenges I am facing with the new challenges, and I cannot. Some people are making happy with inviting friends and meeting friends. This is not happening. And another big issue facing with the family, husband and wives are there. Wife and husband is there in the home, but still problem with the children are there, and the parents should give a more time with the children's. They need to teach them. They need to make kind of foods and everything they need to make. That is why the parents are not, or the couples are not getting enough time to interact and communicate. The another area is the children's. We cannot send children to play area. They have a kind of restriction. They have kind of issue. They cannot tolerate with many things. They need to ventilate with their kind of stress irritability. That is not happening in the family. That also affecting in the family communications and relationship. Another different opinion on social distancing. That is another family issues are happening in the family. I have seen some cases also. Husband is not bothered about that social distancing and he is going and meeting many people, but wife is very strict in that. What is happening after that? He meeting someone and he coming to the home without bathing or without doing any proper cleaning, and he touch his sons or other relatives and doing something, and they're starting some fighting in the family. This is happening there. Even husband or wife or any other family members are any obsessive compulsive this is a OCD plus OCD disorders, any other kind of this anxiety spectrum disorders, they feel difficulty to manage this condition. That is another thing. Working from home, we don't have a culture to work in the home. That is another issue we all facing. That I am going to discuss about what how this is affecting to the family. We can think about that the male are working in the home, that is very, it's comparatively that is fine, but the woman or ladies are working in the home, that is very difficult for them. They need to do the household work the same, and they need to do the this is the office work at home. That is difficult for them. That is a new challenges. Actually, that is a new challenges they are going to face in their life, and they cannot tolerate with that kind of stresses. That kind of stresses, they feel difficulty to mingle with others. They feel difficulty to talk with the partner. Another thing is managing home and work conditions. Can you change the slide, please? This is another things we face, like that caring children and supplementing education. Most of the family has a problem with caring children and supplementing education. That is, you don't know the experience of supporting like this. Even teachers are giving some assignments. Everything is supervised by the parents. Even some family, they have a kids the age between 10 12 between 13 to 15, and the people are suffering, and even small kids are, even they cannot follow that online education and all. The parents has some anxiety also. Parents have some anxiety like that. Even I am if I am a good parent or bad parent, if whether I am, whether I am good or bad, and really I can support them. I am in the wrong directions, or this that is a kind of confusion the family having. This confusion also affecting to make a good relationship with the partners and family members. That is another things. Overburdens are there. We are getting more work. Even that's office work are there, home assignments are there, and we will have a kind of, even we are making to independent now. We are not, even most of the time we are not depending others, and we are making to be self-sufficient, and we are making that also another. But quarantine is another issues for them. Even in our house, our home, there are quarantine people. That time even 15 days or 14 days we feel difficulty, and we are more cautious about our life. Even in our home, we can say that somebody is staying nearby our home, that people are in quarantine. That also affecting us. Even one cat is coming from that home, we are very cautious about all those things. This is a panic life. Actually, in panic life, when we think about that, when we are in the panic life, husbands are there, children are there, how we can be happy? That is another issue we are facing. We are in the panic moment, anxious moment. Husbands are there, wife are there, and children are there. How we can be happy? That is another issue we are facing. And physical contact, even after we are not getting, that is a kind of relaxations and break after our work and all. That is a kind of physical contact is that's one of the surveys reported that physical contact has increased, but at the same time the quality of the physical contact has been reduced. Another is the family planning and issues and all. Even if I become a pregnant or other things is happening, what I will do, and it is very difficult for us. That's kind of a financial burden are there, and other social and family burdens are there. This is the way the people are afraid to be pregnant. And another is privacy and personal time. That is another big issues are facing by the family members. They are not getting the privacy in the home. The homes filled with many persons, and they cannot tolerate, they cannot make a kind of privacy time. Even when I am going somewhere, I am traveling somewhere, and I am going to my that office, and I am getting some private time and privacy and personal time. Even this is not getting to me. And most of the family members, even if when you talk about that social activists and social workers and all, they hope people are going and meeting others and getting kind of pleasure out of this activity. That is not happening. I have seen many palliative workers, they are some under stress. Even I have seen some palliative volunteers and all. Before the pandemic, they people go and meet with some paralysis patients and talking with them and interact with them. They are getting in, they mutually benefited. Even that volunteers get some kind of happiness, and that the patient also getting a kind of happiness. This is not happening now. That is another issue they are facing. Another, when we talk about that intensifying relationship issues, even there are issues before the pandemic that is intensifying. Even husband and wife, there are issue or in-laws issues are happening in the family. Even I have seen many family in my consultations, and before pandemic itself, there are in-laws issues was there. But she was able to manage with, because she can go to the office, and at daytime she can manage with in-laws. But now the condition has been changed, because she will be the daytime, the entire day she will be in the home, and she cannot deal the in-laws, and she has a frequent conflict with the in-laws. That is happening. Even she want to go to her home, that is not happening due to some this is the containment zone is happening, or other issues is happening, so I cannot go. If I go there, how I can come back? Something is happening here. This is the problem we are facing, and anxious about fast tracking the relationship. We cannot track the relationship. Can you change the next slide, please? When we think about what are the factors, even I am not commenting everything. Every family has issues, and all family facing the problem. No, I am not stating like that. Even some factors are there. When we talk about the family or persons, I cannot say the family should have problem. That is depending the personality, and personality factors are there. When you talk about, or when you understanding the problem in the family, we can identify the factors in the family. That is one the factors. There some peoples are there, the vulnerable personalities are there in the family, then there is a chance of the problem. Vulnerability personality mean mental health issues persons, or other personality disorder patients, or substance using or abusing persons, or dependent persons. The people are vulnerable to make an issue or make a conflict, and in antisocial trait of the personality, they have a vulnerable to make an issue. Another stresses. Even after this pandemic, the husband or wife lost job, and he is undergoing some financial crisis or other things, and even he want to sell his one of his property, but cannot sell this property now. He cannot say when he can sell the property. This is a kind of financial or employment kind of stress he's having. Then he cannot do the things. And another important issues we can think about, that some teachers, some even I had some client, the teachers, the people are doing the teaching field and all. Even they cannot teach in the online. They are not familiar with the new technology. The online, that is making stress for them. Even I am not familiar with the technologically kind of things, and also I cannot teach with the technology. So I am feel so inferior about my teaching ability and confidence. I'm losing confidence. this is making her kind of issues, anxiety. Whenever her turn is coming, she feel difficulty to interact with others, and she lost her sleep, and it's a kind of issue they are facing. And adaptability, in even adaptability and resilience are different for different person. Some people can easily adapt with any kind of situations, but some people cannot adapt. That is different with the different personality. That is when we talk about the family issues and family problem, we cannot generalize. There are issues with family. They will have a vulnerability, stress factors, and adaptability. When we are going to manage the issues, we need to think about these three areas and address three areas. Then only we can manage the family issues. Can you change the slide, please? That is another issues. Can you change? Can you change the slide? Okay, we are going to about the proximity and relationship. We all know about that, the proximity increasing the relationship, the depth of the relationship. But even if I am a happy mood, if I am a good mood, and I have a good peace of mind, and then I am getting a proximity with my couple and children's, which enhance the relationship. But the same way, I don't have a good kind of peace in my mind, and I am stressed. I have a major issues in my job area or my business area and all. Still at that time, I'm getting proximity with my wife or husband or children's, that may not enhance the relationship. There will be an issue. That is why proximity enhance the relationship, and proximity disrupt the relationship also. That is the way we need to think and understand the proximity and relationship in the family. Next, can you change the slide? Next is the quantity and quality of the relationship. Can you change, please? The quantity and quality of the relationship. Even before pandemic, we had a good quality of the relationship, but we have a time now. We have a time, and we have a time to spend with the couples, and but we cannot assure the quality of the relationship. We have some kind of fear in the relationship. So even husband is going out and meeting with the people, so he coming to the home and meeting with me, and I feel even I don't know how to say to him, and this is the kind of, that is also some surveys reported, the quality of the relationship has been reduced due to this kind of even physical intimacy and physical connection with the partners, and this is a kind of siblings, and a kind of even that has been reduced due to this pandemic reason. Can you change the slide? What is the pandemic long-term impact on your relationship? Can you please change the slide? And long-term impact on we need to think about that. What are the long-term impact on your? This is a current scenario, and we are facing the issues. We don't know after a years, after 3 months, after 4 months, after a year, even after this pandemic has been gone, somewhat it's managed, what is going to happen in the relationship. That is the things we need to understand. Even we lost the situations, and we lost the situations, and we are not getting proper exposure for socialization, which will reduce our sociability. That is the one important things we need to understand. After a period of time, we are not getting proper exposure time, and which will reduce our ability to interact with others. That is why there are long-term effect will be there. When the students will have a kind of issues, the family will have a kind of issues, and we all have a kind of I am going to talk about the behavioral immunity. That is another terms as arrived. This is the pandemics reduce the behavioral immunity. I will talk about that, then we can understand. Epidemics are a form of external stress for the couples and family. That is already identified, and this is things is happening, and what kind of stress is happening, what kind of family issues the leading to the family issues. Even we need to think, and we need to differentiate what kind of issue they are facing, and we address it that. After most of the, I have seen some research on that. We are not addressing the family issues and relationship now. It will make more problems after the pandemic. Even after completing all those things, and people have a should have a laziness. They have a they will feel difficulty to be a discipline. They will feel difficulty to wait for something, and many personality issue, personal characteral changes will happen due to this pandemic. That also we need to understand and address in the society. That is very important in the society. Can you change the slide? Another important things means community life and freedom of movement. We want to move from one place to another. That is important things. We cannot be in some place and stagnant with some place. We want to move. We want to see the different visuals, different persons, and different kind of things. That is why we all like the traveling, tour, trip, and meeting and going. Even after this period of time, what is going to happen? We are just going and meeting with that's physical meet is not happening. After this period of time, the people will meet with that is, and we more dependent on this online technical things and all. We will have a kind of intimacy and connection. Gradually it will reduce. That will affect our entire humanity. That is another issues we are going to face in the society. That is the one thing already identified. Can you change the slide? Another major issues, the celebration and togetherness. And another issues and another problem. And can you change the slide, please? And celebration and togetherness. We want even most of the persons, and we cannot make a new relationship now. That is another issue we are facing. We cannot identify, we cannot make, and we cannot meet others. There is no chances, there is no explorations is not happening now, and meeting is we are strange to others. Even some strange person is coming to you and asking or talking, we are not allowing. That is, we are not attending him, we are not connecting with, we don't want to connect with strangers. Before itself we will go and meet the strangers. Now time we are not making the making kind of strange relations. We are not making a relationship with the strangers. Even somebody is laughing, smiling to you, and just making some note to you, then you never notice that. Even you cannot understand also. Even we all using that mask and all, it hide our feelings. We cannot express our feelings, and we cannot understand others' feelings. Or that is also another issue we are facing. People are in the celebration. People have a different celebrations. All celebrations are vanished. After that, after completing their, that is in harvest time, any other religious related celebrations and social celebrations, community celebrations, and cultural celebration, everything is aside now. Even marriage celebrations and birthday celebrations and all celebrations making feel happy to be with others. So that is why we are inviting people and be with the people and talking with the people. That is not happening. That is another issues to lead in mental health area. That is another problem in the relationship. I'm just going to talk about the very important things in behavioral immunity. That is another. Can you change the slide? Behavioral immunity, there are terms are there. Behavioral immunity means when you go and meet any stranger, and first you meet him, you will have a fear about that person. So you will have a anxiety about the person. After he just smiled to you, or just he's changing some that is an he's just some gestures, some postures, and that make you feel comfort. Even that is making even we all have a kind of fear to meet with others, and feeling of insecurity, feeling of not connections, and it's happening. So better this behavioral immunity. When we talk about that, after if you are not getting that behavioral immunity, it will affect your entire behavioral pattern. That is another warning sign of personal relationship. We don't feel, if you have a good connection with your colleagues or friends, and you are talking with nicely with your talk nicely with your the relatives or other persons in generally, then you can also make a good contact and talk with your partners and family members. Even if you're not getting proper chances, proper space for that to make a good relationship with others, which directly affecting to the your close relationship, that is happening. Can you change the slide? And after this, has the virus changed your relationship? And that is another questions. Can you change please? Can you change the slide? That is one thing is happening in argument, and another thing argument, and another issues. I'm just even that's even men or female need skin to skin human touch. Even when you talk about the adolescent and all, the people, when they talk with others and interact with others, they will touch, they will nod, they will hug. Even kind of things is happening to them. We are scared about to touch others. We are scared about to make a kind of physical intimacy with others. It is affecting in our interactions and communication. Personal contact will change. We all have a certain personality changes after this epidemic, and shake hand and eye contact. That is another things. When we after, even if you meet a someone, you are not giving shake hand, you will feel some incomplete. I should have before itself, when before the pandemic, I usually give a shake hand and he will get that I feel somewhat feeling of togetherness. But now I am not getting the same feel. And eye contact also, even eye contact, intimacy and closeness. Even we are meeting after even 1 meter or 2 meter, that kind of distance we feeling. And greeting new person, we are not interacting or greeting with the new persons, practicing and social distancing. We don't want to be social isolated in the life, but we are practicing something we don't want in your life, and practicing is very difficult. That is another psychological issues that we are facing. Actually, we don't want to be isolated. We don't want to be alone in the family or alone in the society. But we are practicing. That is another issue we are facing. Isolating self is another issue, and touching communal surface. Actually, when you go somewhere and you are more conscious about all those things, and even unable to touch, unable to be free in the nature, you are more conscious. And we people are say like that, you go with your muscles, and you cannot freely move your hand and other body parts. That is another issue you are facing. And we are more concerned about health and all. Then can you change the slide? COVID-19 has profoundly different outcome for men and women. That is another issue. We cannot say not just in the terms of their health. After pandemic, how the females should become that is managing or adapting the situations, and males are going to adapt the situations are different. That is why most of the research and surveys opening our eyes like that. In most of the male losing their job, and they will have a financial issues and other social inhibitions, and they cannot even before itself the male should go very long and make a connections and the kind of things they can happen. But even when we talk about the evolutionary psychology, we can understand that in the previous time and all, when the people live in the forest and all, actually the men going out for that is and getting some foods and all and bringing back, and the females what they have done like that, they were preparing, they're protecting, that this all happened. But this is even that is even after the epidemic and this happening, even the world is going to develop, that time there are a chance of losing job for the female. Even male also losing the job, and we will make it many even after that pandemic and all, the technological advance will happen. So because of that, the human resources have a less important in the technological area or the industries and all. which reduce the participation of job in the human resource areas. So that is another issue they are facing, and another gender issues are there. Even how they are, even that the females are not getting that much social exposures and all. That is depending to culture, but same time when we think about in India, we can say one thing: the females are not that much exposed with the society, but the males are so associated with, connected with the society. That is why the male should have a more problem in some area. But when you think about that, in a female, they are suffering. They have they are working along with, they are doing some family household work and all, which will reduce their mental health efficiency. So this is the way we can say the gender difference in the effect of corona or COVID things. Another, can you change the slide? Another important things is as affecting the people means loss of job. Even in the employment issues will be there, mental health issues also there. Even we cannot, even after the pandemic, people started to move like and develop their life, and gradually they are picking up what they can do and all. At that time, if they are not getting proper support, even sometime that stress lead to any kind of psychopathology or psychiatric issues and all. They cannot, it's very difficult to revive. They have an ongoing stress. Even if you treat a one mental health patients or mental health issues persons, when you think about that, if they have an ongoing stress, that is very difficult to manage that persons. So the mental health issues will be the another issues. Loss of job is another issues, and unemployment is the another issues people are going to face. Can you change the slide? Can you change? When you talk about that, when you talk about your relationship, when if you want to manage the relationship, first we think about that. How is your relationship with your partner now, when comparing with the before the pandemic and for the COVID? And another things, your relationship with your friend now, how you are interacting, how you are communicating, how you are sharing your things before and after. You can think and you can understand the difference. And your relationship with your family, I can say one thing. Before pandemic, I usually meet my grandparents and talk with them. I had a kind of physical intimacy with them, and I will touch, hug, and give a shake hand them. But now I am not doing it, because I'm going outside and meeting my grandparents, and I am keeping some distance. So they are very aged people, then I don't want to give any kind of distress or problem to them. So this is the way we are keeping distance from the family. And other, your relationship with your colleagues are changed. Before itself, you are more attached with, more engaged with your colleagues, and you are more close with the colleagues. And nowadays you are not getting proper time to meet them, and you are not finding time to meet them. That is happening in the relationship. Another, can you change the slide? Life in lockdown has been tough on many relationship. Many relationship means, we already discussed about that. But negotiating the transition back to normal as a restriction continue to lift could also be a challenge for couples and family. Even after that pandemic also, normalizing the relationship and normalizing the kind of connection with the family members and couples and other neighbors and all, it's difficult. But we need to do something to enhance the relationship. We need to make some connection with them, and we need to do something to do the to enhance the relation, that we can make it. That will be good. Otherwise, after the pandemic, after the, we don't know when is going to go down this kind of issues and all. We don't know about that. It will lead to the major crisis in the society and family. Can you change slide? Return to normal won't be the answer for all relationship. Can you change slide? And returning to normal won't be the answer for all relationship. We all saying there are new normal, not a normal. we will have something new normal is going to happen. We cannot say the previous thing. We will restore something what we had before, but something we cannot restore. That is happening after this epidemic. What is going to happen? We cannot restore many of the things. The relationship and all this is happening. And another things, the last slide. Can you share the can you change the slide? And that is this is my last slide. That's I'm going to wind up this my session. Marriage and close relationship can survive COVID-19 pandemic. Most of the research, they are saying that marriage and close relationship can survive the COVID-19 pandemic. People have a fundamental need for belongingness. So we can say one thing, we all have a kind of belongingness. So at least we will keep the relationship, keep the family relationship, and we will have a bond with the family, and well established that having a supportive close relationship. We all try to establish the relationship, and we need to get a kind of educations and kind of support from the society and the government, how you can improve the relationship. Now recently the Italy and other China, they all started like that. What are the family empowerment program for the society, how you can make a good relationship with the family and you can enhance the family. This is the way they made it. That is why we also think about that, what we can do, what kind of issue we need to address after this epidemic. That is what are the criteria we need to follow, how we can address the family issues, and what the things we can generally we can do with the family. This is the insight should have in the society, and the kind of persons we all are dealing in the social issues and that societal problems and mental health issues. So we can address the kind of issues going to happen in the society, and we can manage it properly. So I would like to say one thing. We are able to understand what is happening in the society, what is happening in the world, what we can do with the society. So even everyone should know about the kind of issues facing in the family, and we need to address it properly. Thank you so much. I'm just concluding my words, and we will have a discussion on that. We can share your ideas, we can share your things, and all whatever I have I can also share with you.
Thank you, sir. The platform is open for discussion. Kindly submit your questions in chat box.
Thank you. Please.
Okay, we have the first question from Dr. Sheelama. What is the role of social worker in family empowerment? What are the challenges they might come across?
Okay, that is a good. Even we need to understand the issues in different cultures, different family segments. We need to understand and identify what are the social issues in the low socioeconomic people, and that is upper socioeconomic and lower socioeconomic status and all. Even educated family and non-educated family and all. This is the way we need to identify. First, we need to identify the issues going to happen. When we can also compare with the issues happen in the other countries also. That is the one thing we can do. Other challenges means we cannot do the major challenges. We cannot predict the issues. We cannot predict the issues is going to when the issues are going to end. That is another one challenging issues, and we don't know about that, how we can address the issues. We cannot meet the people. We cannot even now we people are facing very basic problems. Even health is the main important things, and living is a very important things, and we need to get away from the death is important things. So that is a major crisis is going on. That is why when you people think about the relationship, the other person will say like that, without your life, without your health, how you can talk about this family issues and all. This is a way we cannot do anything right now. So even though we can think and we can develop things and we can do the research on that. That's we can do. Even I could not find much research on that after pandemic. I suggest all students and some of the students who is interesting to do some research. So better to do the research in pandemic and pandemic society. What are the things is happening in the society after this pandemic, and what we need to address after this pandemic condition. We need to do the research, but there are many challenges are there, but still we can do something in the society. So thank you.
Thank you, sir. There is a question from Siddharth, Mr. Siddharth.
There are some questions are okay, fine.
Sir, I shall narrate,
Taken
sir.
to the okay, please.
Sir, I
Okay,
shall narrate.
any of the participants want to share something and add something? I would like to listen from you, please.
Dear participant, you are free to share your suggestions and experience. Before that, we have got some more questions. There is a question from Mr. Siddharthan.
No, I am not audible. Can you, Shishudas, please? Can you little more loud, please?
Okay.
I cannot hear you.
Sir, there is a question from Mr. Siddharthan. What may be the major issues facing by working men and women in case of work from home?
I am not audible. Can you type it and send me, or otherwise I am not audible. Can you?
Sorry for the technical issue, sir. Shaju sir, can you read the questions?
Okay. One. I am getting some message. Okay, I'm just reading. Please, sir, what measure can be taken to enhance the behavior of children in the upcoming new normal situation? Will it be major challenges for the society? And good afternoon. I would like to know about the intervention strategies to deal with the family crisis. Okay, I have seen two questions, and one question I can say that when we address the children's issues. Yesterday I had a talk about the adolescent issues in the effect of the pandemic conditions. Even the people are the children's and the adolescents need more time to mingle with the peer group and other children's. So better we even I have seen in many other countries they started schools. Even the 1/4 will be coming and half will be coming, and this is the way they need to make a social entanglement and other things. We need to make a socializations activities and some kind of platform we need to make for them. Socializations we need to make some social, even in the teacher also should prepare that. In another things we need to make the sensitize with the teacher what the things they need to address with the society and the schools. That is another this is the all things we can do in the schools um, and some activities we can do with the family, including these children's. Another important another question raised like that. I would like to know about the intervention strategy to deal with family in pandemic situations. Even when we talk about that, we need to identify this is the crisis things, or even some issues, some relationship is happening in the family. Is it happen just now after this epidemic, or it was very long before? That is why we need to differentiate that. Whatever the issues that we need to address that. One things we can do with the family, like the crisis intervention method. Even communication model, we can do that family intervention, family support system, and even family talk and other things. Even they can share, even we can check their communication patterns are right, or the crisis they are dealing in proper way. Any other dependencies happening in the family, this is a way which area they need they having a problem, and that is the way we need to identify the area and start to manage with the problem in pandemic also. The same manner we can do with that, but the group and individual interventions are required. Most of the time we can do the same problems happening in the same situation. We can make many group kind of management materials. We can make it, and people can practice with the group. That is another platform we can utilize with this kind of pandemic situation. Another questions rise. Let me clear what may be the major issue by the homemakers, either male or female, whether their partners is working person in case of work from home due to the lockdown. There are an issues, no? Even the people are doing that is in work at home is another issues in the male or female. The homemakers they have a multiple work now. Home workers means either male or female home workers. What are even they need to do? Even all family members are at home. They need to make more food to them and serve to them, and other things. They need to teach their children, and they need to occupy their children and all this. Anyway, that is a multiple stress for the homemakers. That is even that we need to address. Most of the time we are talking about that work from home and other that is in working women. We are talking about the working women and all. We need to address the issues of the homemakers. They are actually suffering in the family. Even we need to address that issue also. Another question rise. Good afternoon. I would like to know about the intervention strategy to deal with the family, and that we addressed, and we move me privately. What are the things we can follow the regain the lost warmth? Okay, even that is an interesting question. What we can do in what we can regain the relationship or restoring the relationship. Even we need to understand what are the even the availability. If I am utilizing the availability, that is one thing we need to check. In all relationship, we need to check whether I am utilizing the availability or not. That is the one thing we can tell to the kind of persons or family. Even if you have a kind of availability or kind of proper space are there, if you utilizing the spaces, if you are utilizing or that is an exploring the spaces like that, you can think in different, focus on that and make it happen. Another question: social capital is more important than economical capital in all walks of life, and what is your opinion on this? That is very important. Even if you have a good human resources and social capitals, you can develop like anything. Even if you think any economically well advanced countries, the social capital or human capital only made it like that. We can say that social capital is very important. Social relationship and social connections and social exploration is important. Even after this corona or epidemic, that the social capital is not utilizing in the proper way, which will affect the country. Even social capitalization is not that tapping properly and utilizing properly, which will make problem. So even if you have a social capital also, we need to utilize the social capital. We need to make it productive with the social capital. Then we can make it. I agree that even social capital is important than the economical capital. There is no doubt. Even another question: all the family members are sitting in the home and chatting themselves. How they have to behave each other to avoid misunderstanding. Even in family, what is going to happen? They're talking, and even most of the adolescents and children are even they don't get. They're complaining about that. They are not getting the private time. Even the families, parents are more cautious. They are just getting their attention to their small issues and commenting on small issues and all. This is all happening. Even that is the way. Even we need to keep some boundaries. That is the one thing we can follow, that family should have a kind of boundaries. Even we cannot violate our boundaries. We should have a boundary like that. I can ask this now, and after that I can ask this also. This is a kind of some boundary we should keep, and we should maintain the boundary. If you are keep the boundary and maintain the boundary, then there should be a less problem in the family. Otherwise, the boundary violation is happening in the family. with all the in family, even there is no one leading persons, everyone is asking and everyone is directing, everyone is making problem. Better you will have a kind of central point in the family, and we will have a kind of boundary, and if you maintain the boundary, then there should not be that much misunderstanding and misbehaving and behavioral issues in the family. Better we need to keep some boundaries in the family. Okay, most of the things I addressed, I cannot say I answered. I addressed some of the thoughts, some of the direction from your participants. And this is a major area when you talk about things and all. We need to be sensitized with the authority. We should be sensitized with the policy makers and all. Then only they can address these issues. In most of the countries, China, Italy and all, they started to do the intervention plan, management plan with the family empowerment, family enhancement, relationship developments and all. Even after that, most of the countries given a statement like that, we need to give a more mental health professionals to address the post pandemic issues. Most of the people should have a kind of issues after a period of time. We don't have a immediate mental health issues. After period of time, we are just trying and managing with the problem, but after a period of time we cannot manage, we cannot settle the issues. After some mental health issues is going to happen. So even whoever is vulnerable to mental health issues, we need to care them, we need to protect them, we need to support them. That is the things we need to do in our society. Okay, anything you want to share in the group, please? Otherwise we can wind up, that time is exceeded, I think.
Thank you, sir.
Sir, what about things?
Sir, we have almost covered the question.
Is it audible?
Yeah, it's audible.
I cannot hear you.
Sir, I think your connectivity has some problem.
Okay, fine. Okay, no issue, that's happening.
Okay, thank you, sir. It was a very informative session. Now we are at the end part of the two-day webinar series. I would like to call upon Mr. Siddharth, the student coordinator, to deliver the vote of thanks.
Hello. Good afternoon, all. Respected sir, teachers, scholars, students, and all others. I take this mesmerizing moment to thank everyone who has been part of this webinar. First of all, I would like to thank the keynote speaker, Mr. Jawad TP, for his valuable information and insight on the topic. And also thank him for spending his valuable time with us. Thank you very much, sir. Secondly, I thank the dignitaries who own a special place in this webinar, who were also sharing their knowledge with us. I also thank the participants who were spending their time with us to make the webinar so successful one, and also the enlighten their mind with new knowledge. I also thank LISSAH team, especially college management, Director Father Jose Malitukochil CST, Manager Father Bobby Pulolical CST, Principal Dr. Benny Joseph, coordination team, technical team, especially Subin sir, Melvin sir, Cesar sir, and head of the department, Dr. Vinci Abraham, webinar coordinator, Mr. Shaiju Elias, Vijayalakshmi ma'am, Susa ma'am, Limina Miss Rijo sir, and also the students of LISSAH College who worked hard to make this a wonderful success. Once again, thank you all for being part of this webinar till the end. Thank you all heartily from LISSAH family. Thank you all.
Thank you, Siddharth. We are very delighted to host a webinar with such a large number of participants. Once again, thank you for joining the webinar. Kindly make sure that you have filled the feedback form. The e-certificates will be sent to you within 10 days. Thank you all once again. Subin sir, over to you.
Good afternoon, everybody. The feedback forms link have been put in your chat box. Kindly look into it and duly fill it. The same has been put in the YouTube The live telecast to YouTube will be stopped with another 3 seconds.